Music in the digital age. It's quite nice. Music's been around forever, and it is like one of the best things ever. I mean, I love listening to music, and I'm friends with a lot of people who too love listening to music. I know a lot of people who could play music and want to make music. I also myself would love to make music at some point in my life. I feel like I am a pretty creative person, and I would like to try out a lot of different creative avenues and just play around in it. So I would love to make music, but I think before I talk about making music, I want to talk about listening to music. And of course, in our modern age, in the day that is, what day is it today? Sure. 31st of January 2026. There is a lot of ways to listen to music. Very commonly is streaming. Now I have a big problem with streaming. I do not like streaming in the slightest. I mean, first of all, it's just like companies like Spotify, and I'm trying to think of other ones. I want to say Apple Music, but I've heard that they're a little better at paying artists. I mean, I'm going to use Spotify as the main example just because they're the top dogs. Why not? And they fucking suck. And so it becomes this sort of dilemma where I don't want to pay for a service from a company that A, doesn't pay artists enough for streams, uses AI to make their own music, which becomes super popular and just funds their own ecosystem of money. But anyway, that's a different topic. AI is a different topic. But also just funding the making of drones which send bombs to Palestine. Like that is probably like big red flag number one. But it's mostly the lack of payment for artists, which I think is the biggest cause of personal distress, because these are artists that I really like and are really like fond of and have a deep connection to, and here I am like listening to their music for free and paying another company instead of them for it. And that is like, I don't know why it's not a bigger problem for people. You know, everyone's still, I feel like most people are still using Spotify. And of course it is like, it is kind of goated having all music ever on one app to look for. Like I will say I still use Spotify to look for shit and search for shit. But I feel like the internet itself is still just a good place, you know. Like Wikipedia will have all the information and more that Spotify will have. But yeah, no, it's quite annoying in the modern age with the internet to have music still be controlled, be like maintained by the same big conglomerates as like back in the days of like records and CDs, you know, the like Sony and all the other like big music groups would just hog all the money and power and own all the music. And still, even back then, I feel like there was a problem of like artists not getting their worth. I feel like that's the main problem in general, because that will still apply to writers in the film and television industry. You know, they're always going on strikes and they're always complaining about how they're like put down and like not shown any credit for their work, as well as plagiarism. You know, there are thousands of examples within writers. But back to music. What do we do? What do I do? That's what I want to say. This is how I feel like I've been able to navigate listening to music. I mean, it is mostly for free, but I feel like if you want to pay the artist that you like, the best thing to do is to go to their shows and buy their merch and buy their stuff that you can get directly from them. I mean, I go to a lot of local shows, so you know, there's always a merch stand with the bands selling their shit right there, and they're like, this is how we make the money. Buy this shit if you want to support us. Don't like actually listen to our music on Spotify. Just if you buy the shirt. That's the thing that I don't like about people who are like, oh, name 3 bands, Pose. It's like, damn, at least they bought the shirt, you know. At least they're giving their money to the artist instead of just streaming all the songs on Spotify, you dumbass, you know. but yeah. Buy the merch. That will actually support the artist. But if you want to listen to the music like I still do, I think your best course is pirating or getting your hands on it for free, because it is really just, I don't know, it's just a file. It's an MP3 file, maybe a WAV if you're feeling special. You know, it's like that shouldn't cost much. Like yeah, if you want to actually, you know, scratch that. Probably the most moral thing is to just buy the album on like Bandcamp or like Discogs or whatever, where you can get the MP3s. That's probably the most like, what's the word? Like that's, you're buying the album from them, so sweet. But I think just pirating in general is just it's free to take. I feel like a lot of artists that I enjoy actively encourage pirating the content because it's not about that for them, you know. Like it should be free. It's the internet, you know. All this information and stuff should be free. That's why I like Internet Archive. I've been mostly sourcing a lot of albums, like MP3 downloads from Internet Archives, which, if you don't know, is a website that dedicates itself to archiving everything that's ever been on the internet, which is a little, you know, I feel like maybe not everything, a lot of private shit that people have posted on the internet without knowing, you know, because it was the early 2000s or late 90s and no one knew how the internet worked, so they just posted their entire private life on it. Maybe that shit shouldn't be archived, but information and just the sharing of information over the whole world by the internet is kind of what is its like special power, to me at least. I think that's what the internet's greatest strength is. And so everyone should have everything for free on the internet. And it's a great place. Internet Archive, you can literally just go in the audio section. You can scroll through like I did. I went through a few pages and just looked and saw what they had on there. But you can search for like specific artists if you want and get the MP3 for free. And then when I get that, I download it on my computer and then transfer it via iTunes onto my phone. And so I like use Apple Music, but it's like downloaded music, like local files on Spotify, if you see what I mean. Yeah. No, pretty good. I've also been CDs. I think CDs are going to make a big comeback, I hope. Oh, sorry, that's the lighter that doesn't work. CDs are kind of really good. Especially if you computer with like disc insert, which I feel like most computers do, unless you have a laptop or something. But that will just get you the MP3 downloaded onto your computer. But you get the raw files, I think, if you really want that, because it's like pressed onto the CD. You can have like mega big giant folders, not folders, files. But no, yeah, CDs. I think people should start buying more CDs because they're not as expensive as vinyls are now, and also not as like, what's the word? Like, they're more accessible is what I'm trying to say. You know, like vinyl, you need the whole setup. You need a place to put them. CDs are way smaller, you can store more of them. If you really want to get crazy with it, you can get a CD folder. Like, come on now, let me flip through my folders. Also, burning CDs, if you have the ability to burn music onto your own CDs, I think that's also like a great way to listen to music. Of course, if you have a CD player for CDs, then you're set. But I still think just downloading them onto your devices and having them there digitally is like, oh, that's a relic right there. I just have that album always and forever. But yeah, I also too have an old iPod passed down to me from my mother. It is goated. It's a tiny little box. I mean, it is just great because I love having big headphones, so the sound quality is really good. But this is just a good alternative that is way tinier and just can be clipped onto my belt loop, and I just don't have to think about it. It's just there. And it means I don't have to carry as much. You know? I can go out the house without having to like carry anything for my headphones. And I just like, what? Easy. It doesn't have much space on it though. I guess that is one downside. I guess that's the downside to all of it in general, is you will never have the infinite space that Spotify has, you know? Like that, you've just got to learn to deal with the fact of not having Spotify always. But you know what still exists? The internet, you know? I can still search something up as easily and find it somewhere else. And I feel, you know, more accessible by doing that because I have ad blocker and shit like that, where it like prevents advertising, so it's like easier to find shit. Yeah, nah. I just think it's good. I always want to listen to music. I feel like it always be special to me. And just living in the modern day, I want to get back to my roots. I want to have this like curated like collection of albums that just speak to me, rather than just saying, oh yeah, this is a playlist of just random shit, you know, and this is another playlist of random shit, and there's a couple songs, you know. It's just like it all feels disjointed and all over the place. But I feel like now I've been able to like streamline it and be like, right, this is the music that I truly fuck with. This is the collection of shit that is like 10 out of 10 bangers and only the bangers. But yeah, nah. It is good though. I don't want to say that the modern digital age for music is bad by any stretch of the meaning. Like I feel like technology's still got a while to go before it's like fully developed and fully streamlined and without faults, you know. So I think we just kind of just gotta like figure out what isn't working and make it known that it is impactfully like dangerous and harmful, and be like, yeah, let's stop doing this. Let's stop fucking doing this. But one thing it is really good for is making music. Shit, this is not good. Give me 2 seconds. You make music so easily now, like come on. Like what? It is like, imagine trying to like form a band in the 80s and try and record some fucking music or some shit. It's just like, that's impossible. Now you can just do it on your phone, you can do it on GarageBand, you can do everything on your phone. That is the true message of this video. But it's made it way easier for anyone to creatively like release their energy through music, and I think that is amazing, you know. Like the music that I make is like, I don't care if it never gets popular, like I don't even want it to. It's like I just want to make it because I can, because it's the modern age and I can do that with my phone, and with like my bass that I've got and like a couple of my mates, like that would be sick. Like that would give me that personal satisfaction of just being like, I made this and I'm proud of it. You know, I'll always chase that over the glory. I'm just thinking about Marty Supreme now. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Music's goated. I think it is like fantastic that I know so many people who are like, oh, I can literally make music, and they make banging music. You know, they make music that I think is like the sickest shit ever. And I'm like, I guess people just don't know, but people should know is what I'm saying. I think it is harder to get known and seen because there is so many people making music nowadays, though. You know, you've really got to play the game, the social media game, the popularity, the like popping off game, to really like make any fame. It's kind of a shame because, you know, but at the same time, I don't think it matters. To the core of what I'm trying to say, of like music being made for the sake of music, it shouldn't matter that not everyone gets popular, or like people who deserve to be popular aren't, or people who are popular, that shouldn't be. You know, none of that matters at the end of the day, because it's just nice that everyone in the world has the chance to make music, and express themselves through music. Anyway, I've been rambling on. I'm gonna walk home now, guys. Bye bye.